Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone. Welcome back to the translation course. In today's session, we will discuss translation problem. We will explore the common challenges translators face when transferring meaning between languages, such as lexical gaps, cultural differences, ambiguity, idiomatic expression, and context depend meaning. As students, understanding translation problem will help you identify difficulties in text, makes better translation decision, and develop critical thinking as a futures English teachers and translators. Let's begin our learnings by examining how translation problems arise in real translation practice. Before we learn translation techniques, it is important to understand translation problem, which are the difficulties translator face when transferring meaning from a source language to a target language. Translation problem occur because languages differ in grammar, vocabulary, cultures, and context. So a meaning cannot always be translated directly. In the class, we will, sorry, I have a phone. Okay. So, um, meaning cannot always be translated directly in this class. We will identify common translation problems and explore strategies to solve them in order to produce clear, accurate, and natural translation. Translation is not a simple word to forwards process like first meeting. It often involves various challenges known as translations problem. These problems arise because languages differ in structure, vocabulary, cultures, and ways of expressing meaning. Translation must deal with ambiguity, idioms, cultures, references, and content dependent meanings that may not have direct equivalence in the target language. Therefore, understanding translation problem is essential for developing effective strategies to produce accurate, natural, and meaningful translation. Okay, is a learning objective. Students will be able to define and give examples of the translation problem, able to apply and classify the translation problem, and then able to analyze the translation problem, and the important things, able to evaluate the translation problem. Okay, this translation problem due to language has and culture difference in translation. Translation problem are common. These problem are more concerned for example, in maybe in cam translation or in filming translation and others, which need adaptation of the target culture, even in the word like non-equivalence. Bakers state that non-equivalence at the word level is defined as a target word without a direct equivalence word from the source language. The nature of non-equivalence varying estimate the levels of difficult. This causes non-equivalence to be problematic. Translation in non-equivalence cannot rely on a single strategies. Because non-equivalence has different kinds. what is it? Some of non-equivalence is straightforward, while the rest are difficult to handle. The difference of a translation problem in non-equivalence are uh, categories as uh, follows, like here's um, translation problems. First translation problem is cultural specific concept. This problem happened when a source language word has an unknown concept in the target culture. Most of these words are from a religious and cultural aspect. For example, is a sushi. Sushi um, in Japan culture refers to food, some uh, food like this. Okay, and then not lexically saying in the target language. Some such language words are understandable in the target language, but these words are not lexicals. However, translation can find other equivalent word to use, like the type of non-equivalence at the word level. For example, savvy. You know that the English word savvy means a practical understanding, screw knowledge, ability to make good judgment. You know that in Indonesia there is no exact and one word equivalent that captures all these meanings. Therefore, translation may use phrases such as paham secara pragmatis, and then cerdas dalam situasi tertentu, paham secara pragmatis, what is it? A practical understanding, and then cerdas dalam situasi tertentu, and then punya pemahaman yang tajam, ability to make good judgment. In English, savvy have three means: practical understanding, so, knowledge, ability to make a good judgment. Uh, jadi masing-masing menggunakan sebagian dari maknanya, tapi tidak ada sepenuhnya sebenarnya sesuai dengan kata tunggal itu sendiri gitu. Misalkan savvy memiliki uh, tiga makna di bahasa Inggris, tapi tidak satu pun yang tepat mencakup semua makna itu dalam bahasa Indonesia, sehingga biasanya penerjemah menggunakan berbeda-beda, bukan savvy tapi bisa tergantung kalimatnya gitu ya, bisa paham secara pragmatis, cerdas dalam situasi tertentu, punya pemahaman yang tajam, like that. This type of non-equivalence at the word level key characteristic concept exists. People understand the idea. No single word available requires paraphrase and common across languages, especially with culture, personal traits, and social behavior terms. And then frequent translating challenge affect naturalness and brevity is the lexical in the target language. And then we have third, semantically complexity of the source languages. The problem happens to be common for translation when a source language word has a complex meaning. For example, the word arbitrary, arbitrary can include several meanings based on personal choice, not rules, random or without clear reason, subjective decision, authority without justification. In Indonesian, translators may choose different equivalents depending on context. For example, uh, what is it? Random is acak. Uh, based on a subjective decision or based on personal judgment, subjective. Okay. Then tanpa dasar yang jelas, misalkan without clear justification, and then based on personal choice, not rules. For example, power without fairness, sewenang-wenang gitu. Jadi no single Indonesian word covers all meaning what is it? Secara bersama-sama, togetherness. Jadi nggak ada satupun dalam bahasa Indonesia yang mencakup semua arti tersebut secara bersamaan. So it's the problem in semantical complexity of the source language. And then next, differences of distinctions in meaning. Target language word has a distinctive meaning, which is a problematic in translation. This problem seems not occurs in Indonesian language. For example, English then use one general verb, go and done. As it go by car, go on food, go by plane. Indonesian tends to express the distinction through different verb or explicit phrases. For example, pergi naik mobil, berjalan kaki, naik pesawat, atau terbang, misalkan. Jadi perbedaan diungkapkan secara berbeda di berbagai bahasa. Why? This is a translation problem. The translator may lose information if target language is more general. The translator may need to add information if target language is more specific. Context determine whether the distinction is important. Literal translation may sound unnatural. You know that the idea in the difference of distinction in meanings. For example, some language are more specific, many different words to one concept, and then some language are more general. One word covers several concepts, and then translation requires deciding whether to generalize or specify, like that. So in different of distinction in meaning is the target language may have more or fewer distinctions, like the examples before. And then the next is lacking a subordinate in the target language. This problem happens when the target language word is specific, but it is not general for the semantic field. Therefore, the specific lexicon is used in translation. The target language has specific terms, hyponym, but no general term subordinate to cover them. Superordinate, it means that general category words and hyponym as specific members of that category. Translation problem arises when the general category word does not exist naturally in the target language. For example, English has a subordinate facilities. It can include toilet, parking areas, meeting rooms, For example, equipment, service. In some contexts, Indonesian might not use one single natural word covering all these items. So translator often specify that fasilitas parkir, ruang rapat, toilet, sarana pendukung. It's for example in the classical example like this. Some language have many specific cooking verbs: fry, roast, grill, steam, while another language might lack one natural general verb equivalent to cook in certain contexts. Okay. Okay, next. The next is a lacking of a specific term hyponymy in the target language. This problem happens when language have general words, but this word lack specific word which to the difficulty in meaning based on its particular environment. Uh, um, for example, the word selfie has a difficult meaning. Most Thai people say this word as a load word, and Indonesian people say that this word too, selfie. Okay, and then another example, you know that English distinguishes many specific verbs for ways of looking. Glance, look quickly. Stare, look intensively. Gaze, look steadily, often with emotion. And peek, look secretly, is with emotion, for example, or like that. Indonesian often use the general verb melihat or menatap. So the translator may need to add explanation. Uh, glance is melirik, stare menatap tajam, gaze menatap penuh perhatian, and then the peek mengintip. Not all distinction map neatly to single word. And then why this is a translation problem. A specific nuance may disappear. One target word may cover many meanings. Style and tone can change. Important details may need to be made explicit. And then next, differences in or interpersonal perspective. Interpersonal perspective concern in object and people will with a relation to another things or place. It is represented as a pair of word. For example, uh, uh, in English, come and go. Come movement toward the speakers or share reference point. Go movement away from the speaker. In Indonesian, but may be translated as datang or pergi. But the choice depends on context and perspective. Sometimes the distinction is weaker or expressive differently. Uh, what is it? I will go. I will come to your office. Is uh, movement toward listener. Saya akan datang ke kantor Anda. gerakan, dia melakukan gerakan menuju ke si pendengar. But if I said that I will go to your office, natural or speaker perspective difference. Saya akan pergi ke kantor Anda. Ini lebih netral dan perbedaan uh, perspektif pembicara gitu. Kalau go and come in Indonesian language. And then difference difference in expressive meanings. The propositional meaning of a search language word and a target language word are similar, but the expressive meanings are different. This problem can cause difficulty in giving context in translation. For example, two word can what is it? For example, slim, positive, attractiveness, and skinny, negative nuance to teen. But revert to being teen, but the expressive meaning differs Indonesian equivalence. In Indonesia, uh, langsing positive and then kurus kering, it's a negative. You know that uh, um, makna ekspresif itu bisa mencerminkan eh, apa ya sikap pembicara, speaker attitude, emotional tone, formality level, and evaluation, positive versus negative, and then social judgment. You know that difference, thin or slim. You know that this kurus kering is negative skinny, and then it's a slim. Positive is the slim. Case differences in expressive meaning is different. And then the next 9 differences in form. Word formation of each language are different, which lead to the problem in finding equivalence of the target language for the source language. In English language, there are prefix and suffix. On the other hand, for example, in the Indonesian, uh, we have to prefix, have suffix, for example. Uh, we can see that the example unpredictable. Un is negotiation. Predict is best word. Ability or possibility. In Indonesian, there's not minor, it is exact structure, so translation becomes tidak dapat diprediksi. It's one word, but in Indonesian we have 3 words. Tidak dapat diprediksi. One word, 2 phrases. Tidak dapat diprediksi is phrases. Another examples like this one. English suffix or teachers, drivers, translator marks person who does acts. Indonesian may use guru, not derive from teach plus no, but guru, pengemudi, penerjemah. The formation process differs. Jadi proses pembentukannya berbeda. It's a difference in form in many language. So it is most important for translation to understand the contribution that affects makes to the meaning of word and expression, especially signs such affix are often used creatively in English to coin new words for various reasons, such as filling temporary semantic gaps in the language and creating humors. Their contribution is also important in the area of terminology and standardization. Okay? And the next is 10 differences in frequency and purpose of using forms. This problem happened because the unique form has a equivalence in the target language. However, different frequencies and purpose are included. For example, what is it? English often use passive voice frequently in academic writing, right? The experiment was conducted. Indonesian can use passive form, but overusing them may sounds heavy, so translators may shift to active or different structures like penelitian ini dilakukan is acceptable. The experiment was conducted. Penelitian ini dilakukan is acceptable or reconstruct depending on style. Another example in the Indonesian and English. English use abstract nouns very frequently. For example, development, implementation, evaluation. But Indonesian may prefer verb-based expression, mengembangkan, melaksanakan, mengevaluasi. Thus, the word exists but usage preference differ. Jadi kata tersebut itu ada tapi preferensi penggunaannya sedikit berbeda. And then the next and I think is the last one. The word use of loan words in the source text. A loan word has different meanings, which a single word can be used in different contexts. You can see that, for example, in the English loan word used in Indonesian text, upgrade, branding, deadline. If translated literally, upgrade peningkatan, branding pencitraan pencitraan sebuah merek misalkan, deadline batas waktu. The meaning is preserved, but the modern or industry tone may change. You know that the load words after signal uh, like uh, mm, like uh, prestige or uh, technical, cultural identify or authenticity. You know that you know that the use of loan words in the short text is uh, very much example in many country. We can see, for example, feminists in Japanese. Feminist in Japanese is usually used to describe a man who is excessively soft with women, and in experience, French or German translator may However, confuse English sensible with German sensible, meaning sensitive, for example, or English sympathetic with French sympathetic, meaning nice or likable. This example are some of the more common example of non-equivalence among language and the problem they pose for translators in dealing with any kinds of non-equivalence. Okay, is conclusion non-equivalence at the word level occur because language differ in how they express meaning, structure, word, and use language and context. Therefore, translators uh, must apply flexible strategies and consider linguistic cultures and communicative factors rather than rely on direct word-for-word translation. Is a translation problem arise because language differ in structure, vocabulary, and cultural meaning. Just the best ideas as a solution with your problem as a translator. Any question? If you have a question, you can put in this comment in this video or in our class. And then thank you. I hope you can get helpful knowledge from this what is it presentation. Good luck. Today we have discussed translation problem and various challenges that may arise in the translation process. Remember that translation process are natural and part of a professional translation practice. What matters is your ability to analyze the problem, choose appropriate strategies, and meaningful accuracy. I hope this session help you become more aware, analytical, and confident with dealing with translation tasks. Thank you for your attention. See you in the next session. Happy learning. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.